And I'll just keep getting bundles, and they'll probably come out to here, but I'll just hang them up inside. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of El Jardín Perdido. Today we're harvesting Moringa and Katuk. All right, so we're rounding the end of October here, and it's kind of the end of the growing season for both Moringa and Katuk. These are tropical greens that are really nutrient dense, and so I love having them around. With our super hot summers here, used to be humid. This year is the second consecutive year of drought, but both of these still fare well. So if you're in, I'd say 9A and higher, this is an excellent crop to have. But for me, it's going to supplement throughout the winter, maybe when I can't grow as many greens. But what I like to do is harvest this. I may even chop and drop some of this Katuk. I'll show you in a second. It's really out of control. And the Moringa could have used a little more water this year. It's drought tolerant, but it'll do really well if it's getting adequate water, which it hasn't this year. All right, so let's go ahead and tackle some of these. So this is the Katuk. As you can see, it's pretty all over the place, but what I don't like and why I'm harvesting now is usually it's a very vibrant green. You can see on some of the foliage it is, but I can see it's starting to turn, and I don't like harvesting it when it loses chlorophyll and gets kind of yellow. So we're going to tackle this now. I may chop and drop half of this because I wouldn't even eat this much Katuk. The Moringa's in the same boat. It bounced back from last year's freeze, but it hadn't really had enough rain to really take off like it usually would. This one does a little bit better. I'd say it's about 15 feet up, but it gets some of my AC drip there. This bed over here, as you can see, like, it looks a lot healthier. Most of my garden looks like this throughout the year, but even with me giving supplemental water at night, it's just not enough without the water table being where it should be at. So you can see these beds, that's pretty much my whole garden, bone dry. All right, so basically what I'm gonna do is just start coming in, and what I like to do is I'll get a nice bundle like this, and I'll just keep getting bundles, and they'll probably come out to here, but I'll just hang them up inside. The humidity's low enough that they just dehydrate nicely. So I know that I've covered Moringa on my channel. Katuk, I'm not sure that I have. I don't know if you can see this, but they have these like little flowers that actually taste like peanuts. It's a legume, and its leaves and everything all taste kind of peanutty, but they're really high in protein. And so it's definitely a good leafy green to have around. So I'm just gonna kind of harvest through here, get what I can. And I'm basically gonna go ahead and keep harvesting. And what I do is I just tie a rubber band around the top here, hanging them up somewhere where they'll keep dry, possibly even outside if it's not raining a lot. But this will give me my greens. These are like superfood greens. They'll be dried out. You can either make them into a powder, or I just strip leaves off while they're dry and sprinkle them on salads or whatever. And this is gonna get me through the winter. So I think this bundle I just harvested will be enough. I may take a few more, but I think the rest, I'm not gonna cut it down to the ground, but you could technically. But I do want to give it enough thermal mass to get through the winter. It'll most likely grow back unless you have a really, really, really hard freeze. At least this way it gives itself a little insulation. And then on some of the outer parts, I'll leave for chop and drop because these beds are hurting. I've got some wood chips I need to put down. Probably do that next week. but the wood chips are both ideal for winter and summer. Ideally, I could have put those down earlier and retained a little more moisture, but this water table's gone and it's been so bone dry. I don't even think that would have helped at this point, but it'll at least be good for the winter for insulation. And when you are chopping and dropping this stuff, you want to make sure it lays flat, because literally this stuff propagates. If you put it in the ground like that, it'll shoot right up, especially if your soil is a little bit moist. Right now it's so dry, I might not have to worry about that. But yeah, basically I'm gonna feed the rest of my plants with some of this outer foliage here. As far as the Moringa, I don't want to cut it down crazy, but yeah, I think we still have enough growing season that it'll come back a little bit, but I'm just gonna top them basically. And after I top, we're gonna get shoots down here. It's still warm enough that it can put off some shoots. And so this is what I'm talking about when we start getting a little bit of yellow here. I'm probably just gonna discard branches like that. And if you leave it dry like this, it's gonna stay that nice vibrant green. And what I do to process this, so the bundles aren't quite as huge as the Katuk, is these snap off really easily. I think I've done a video on this before, but just to show you really quick. They snap off really easily, and what I'll do is just take a rubber band and I'll make bushels probably like 3 times the size of this, hang them up against the wall, and they'll be dry in a couple days. With that, you can do the same thing, either make a powder or you can just keep the leaves dry like that, throw them in a baggie, make sure they don't soak in moisture later. So really handy stuff here. And the same principle with this. Moringa is 100% edible. Technically the stems even, the seed pods, the roots, medicinal in some aspects, but really nutrient dense. All right guys, so I just wanted to bring you along for that little task here and preparation towards the winter. We're not quite there yet. We're really winterizing everything, but that's one of my little to-do lists. If I see some of these greens starting to yellow a little bit, that's a sign that they're evergreen. They're not going to defoliate until a hard freeze comes, and that's not so much of a dormancy as all the leaves got fried. So before that happens, we've gotten a couple of cold spells, and I just wanted to take care of that so I could harvest them, keep them nice and green and vibrant. All right guys, well that's going to do it for today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to put those below and I will respond to them as soon as possible. And as always, I thank you for tuning in. Until next time.